Something involving Lamar Jackson suddenly grabbed everyone's attention right at the start of the offseason. And honestly, I think this news is going to make a lot of Ravens fans uncomfortable, because there's one part of this story that feels way too familiar to what already caused a ton of tension in Baltimore not that long ago. And the craziest part is this: the more you look at the full context behind everything happening right now, the easier it becomes to understand why fans got nervous so fast, especially considering where this Ravens team is mentally heading into 2026. The second people heard that Lamar Jackson didn't show up for voluntary OTAs, you could immediately feel that sense of déjà vu in Baltimore. And honestly, I completely understand why fans reacted that way, because this feels really similar to what happened last offseason, when his limited participation became a huge storyline across the media and among Ravens fans. So the moment this absence got reported, that anxiety came rushing back almost instantly. And the thing is, the issue really isn't the workout itself. Everybody knows these OTAs are voluntary. But when you're talking about the face of the franchise, every little detail gets magnified. Especially after the disappointing 2025 season the Ravens just went through. From my perspective, fans wanted to see this team come into the new year with maximum energy and urgency from day one, especially from their superstar quarterback. There's also another important detail here. Lamar wasn't the only player missing. Reporter Jonas Schaffer mentioned that guys like Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, and Travis Jones were absent too. But the reality is simple. When Lamar misses something, the reaction is completely different. Everything around the Ravens revolves around him, and that automatically turns any absence into a major topic. At the same time, I also think it's important not to turn this into full-blown panic. The report itself points out that Lamar already attended other off-season activities with the new coaching staff earlier this spring. That tells you he is interested in working with this group. But this situation feels more sensitive because of the pressure surrounding the Ravens right now. New coaches, massive expectations, internal changes, and a fan base desperate for a bounce-back season all make these OTAs feel way more important than they normally would. One of the biggest reasons people are paying so much attention to these OTAs is because of where the Ravens are as an organization right now. This team is entering a completely new phase with major coaching changes, and naturally that changes the importance of these early off-season workouts. Now guys like Jesse Minter, Declan Doyle, and Anthony Weaver are starting to install new ideas, new adjustments, and a completely different identity for this team. And honestly, I think a lot of people are looking at this as a fresh start for Baltimore. After the massive disappointment of 2025, there's a real feeling that this organization needed changes internally. That's why these early workouts matter so much beyond just conditioning. This is about chemistry, leadership, communication, and getting comfortable with the new system as quickly as possible, especially for the leaders inside that locker room. Because when you make major coaching changes, there's always an adjustment period. Players have to learn new details, communication changes, practice tempo changes, and sometimes even the overall philosophy of the team changes too. And usually when your franchise quarterback is there from the beginning, that process moves a lot smoother inside the building. That's why I think Lamar's absence draws even more attention in this specific situation. Not because people think he forgot how to play football or won't understand the system. Not at all. It's more about what it symbolizes. The Ravens need to enter 2026 looking unified, focused, and fully locked in from the start. And when a new coaching staff is trying to reshape the environment around the franchise, every little detail involving the team's biggest star suddenly feels a whole lot bigger. One thing that becomes very clear in this entire story is that Ravens fans still haven't fully gotten over what happened in 2025. That season left a really bitter taste in Baltimore. There were huge expectations to compete near the top of the AFC, huge expectations for a bounce-back year, and huge expectations to see Lamar leading this team at a high level again. And in the end, things fell way short of what people expected. And honestly, I think that explains a huge part of the anxiety surrounding this situation right now. When a team comes off a disappointing season, fans start analyzing every tiny offseason detail like it's a sign of what's coming next. If the quarterback shows up energized and motivated, fans get excited. If he misses a voluntary practice, questions immediately start popping up. That's the kind of emotional environment Baltimore is dealing with right now. The article itself basically hints at this when it talks about the team wanting to bounce back after the disastrous 2025 season. There's clearly a ton of pressure internally for the Ravens to respond fast this year, And when you have a roster this talented, the pressure naturally lands even harder on the franchise quarterback. To me, this is really the biggest part of the entire conversation. This isn't truly about one missed practice. It's about confidence. Fans want to feel like this team is entering 2026 with urgency from the very beginning. They want to feel like everyone inside that building understands how disappointing last season really was. And because of that, every move involving Lamar is being viewed far more emotionally than rationally right now. Another reason this story is getting even bigger is because of Lamar Jackson's contract situation. The report itself mentions that an important contract decision is getting closer. And naturally, that makes everything feel more sensitive. Because anytime a superstar player is connected to major contract discussions, every absence immediately starts getting interpreted in different ways. And honestly, I think it's impossible to completely ignore that part of the conversation. Even though these OTAs are voluntary, there will always be people wondering whether an absence is connected to negotiations, internal positioning, or some level of frustration behind the scenes. This happens with almost every superstar quarterback in the NFL. The bigger the player, the louder the noise around situations like this becomes. At the same time, it's also important not to turn speculation into reality. The article clearly mentions that Lamar already participated in previous offseason activities earlier this year. So right now, there's no concrete information pointing toward internal problems, drama, or any kind of crisis. What exists right now is mainly the natural concern of a fan base that has already dealt with a lot of tension recently. Still, I do think the contract angle makes this whole thing feel more delicate. The Ravens know Lamar is the center of the franchise. The fans know it. The entire NFL knows it. So when you combine pressure to bounce back, a brand new coaching staff, and a major contract situation potentially looming in the background, every absence automatically gets far more attention than it normally would. If you're enjoying this breakdown, smash that like button to help the purple flock grow. Despite all the attention this situation is getting, the truth is there still isn't any real reason for panic in Baltimore. The report itself keeps reinforcing that point. These workouts are voluntary. Other veterans were absent too. And Lamar has already shown interest in working with the new coaching staff during earlier offseason activities. And honestly, I think it's important to separate concern from panic because those are two completely different things. I understand why fans felt uncomfortable seeing this story pop up right now. But at the same time, this is still the very beginning of the off-season. This isn't mandatory minicamp, it's not training camp, and there's no real information suggesting serious problems inside the organization. On top of that, Lamar has shown multiple times throughout his career that he knows how to respond under pressure. And I think a lot of people around this fan base still believe he's going to enter 2026 extremely motivated because of how frustrating last season was. There's clearly a feeling around Baltimore that this year needs to be a strong response after everything that happened in 2025. But one thing is absolutely certain. The spotlight on Lamar is only going to get bigger throughout the offseason. Every practice, every absence, every comment, and every move will become a storyline in Baltimore. Because when you're the face of a franchise carrying Super Bowl expectations, everything gets magnified. And from this point forward, every sign involving Lamar Jackson is going to be watched very closely by the entire fan base. One thing is certain, any news involving Lamar Jackson is always going to become a massive story in Baltimore, especially after last season and all the pressure surrounding the Ravens heading into 2026. Maybe this still isn't a reason to panic, but I completely understand why fans felt uncomfortable seeing this happen right now, and honestly, the next few weeks could tell us a lot about the overall vibe of this team heading into the new season. Because expectations in Baltimore are sky high. And everybody knows this team's chances of becoming a serious contender again will go directly through Lamar Jackson. Now I want to hear from you. Does this situation actually worry you? Or do you think people are completely overreacting? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I really want to know what you think about all of this. And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out and I'll see you in the next video.